כל האומר דבר בשם אומרו, מביא גאולה לעולם.
If there is one line you never cross in marriage, it's never attack your spouse's yiras shamayim. Life hands you moments that could poke at that boundary. It could be her taking a more lenient view on a halachic issue than you do, her fashion choices, or her claiming that she doesn't want 18 kids, or you donating half of your income. These are all things that you register as matters pertaining yiras shamayim. Don't make the fatal leap from I don't agree with this decision to maybe she just doesn't have yiras shamayim. You could talk about the issue, even debate it, but don't turn it into a judgment of her relationship with Hashem. Because the second you imply that something's wrong because she doesn't fear Hashem, you're no longer talking about the issue. You're judging her essence. Now, if you want a strong Das Torah source for this, my uncle Cacham Ben Tzion Abashol in his Sefer Chachma Musar speaks very carefully about this. He writes that a husband shouldn't position himself as his wife's halachic inspector, constantly correcting and critiquing. He narrows the husband's direct responsibility to areas that directly create halachic consequences for him.
וזה לשונו הטהור והקדוש.
He says, one should minimize criticism in the home as much as possible. There are, of course, areas in which a husband cannot simply remain silent. Matters of family purity, kashrus, the raising of the children, modesty, and anything that involves an actual violation of halacha. But beyond these areas, a husband should be exceedingly reluctant to rebuke his wife, especially in our generation. If, for example, she does not pray, that is ultimately her responsibility before Hashem. A husband is not responsible for securing his wife's place in the world to come. There is no mitzvah to educate one's wife. And so wisdom often lies not by criticizing more, but in criticizing less. The general rule is that everything depends on the situation. You need wisdom and sensitivity to know when to say something and when to remain silent. And even when something does need to be said, it should not be said as an accusation. Why did you do that? Don't you know that it's forbidden? That immediately turns a halachic issue into a personal confrontation. Instead, simply state the halacha and leave it there. A husband's role is to make the halacha known. He does not need to stand over his wife and make sure that she actually follows it. There are even situations in which it is better to say nothing at all, for the sake of shalom bayis. But that principle has limits. Peace in the home does not mean that every Torah obligation disappears the moment disagreement begins. Suppose, for example, if a wife does not want to visit her husband's parents, particularly when there is an important family celebration. Here, shalom bayis is not a hall pass to disregard the Torah's command of kibud av va'em. He should try to influence her gently and pleasantly, without turning the matter into a battle of wills. He might tell her about Ruth Atzadeket, whose extraordinary devotion and respect for Naomi, her mother-in-law, became part of what made her so noble in the eyes of the nation. Sometimes a story reaches the heart where an argument never will. The same is true if he notices that she is not sufficiently careful about lashon hara. He can offer a few gentle words of musar, appropriate to her personality and understanding. And even if it appears that she is not listening, even if she interrupts him and ends the conversation, he should neither become angry nor give up. His loving, wise words spoken properly are not going to be wasted. A man who has been blessed with a wife of a calm temperament may discover something beautiful with time. If he speaks respectfully, without superiority, and without constantly policing her, she may eventually thank him, because she comes to recognize that his words were spoken out of a sincere desire to help her walk on a straight path of life.
עד כאן לשונו.
That's what Cacham Ben Tzion says about the subject. As we have seen, it's not about ignoring halacha, chas v'shalom. It's about understanding that she has her own avodah and her own struggles before Hashem. And it's between them. Your job is not to be a spiritual police officer. It's to be a partner who builds a home with her. There's something we often fail to understand about the people closest to us. We see their choices, we become familiar with their weaknesses. And because familiarity has a way of making the extraordinary seem ordinary, we can forget just how precious their Yiras Shamayim is to them. Their relationship with Hashem is not simply one value among many. It is the essence of who they are. It is bound up with their sense of goodness, dignity, and the kind of person they're trying to become. And that is something beautiful. But precisely because it runs so deep, it is also something we must handle with extraordinary care. And if you think the most insulting thing you can tell a woman is that she's fat, you're dead wrong. Tell a woman that you suspect she doesn't have Yiras Shamayim. Ooh. That is murderous language. And in marriage, it could bring you dangerously close to the point of no return. Chas v'shalom. So argue about the issue if you need to. Have a conversation. But don't cross that line. Never use your spouse's Yiras Shamayim as a weapon. And the more careful you are not to cross that line, the more room there is for trust, closeness, and real growth in mutual Yiras Shamayim.
Thanks for watching, please subscribe and share. It's a mitzvah.